Wow. How early is it for you?
It's 7:56, but I have a 2-year-old who's up at 6 every day. So this is like I'm halfway done my day.
A 2-year-old, that puts you pretty much in that mode of mom, why? Mom, how? Mom. So you should be pretty used to being interviewed as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
To be on NBC's The Voice, you are now part of the page, the weaving of this legacy show. What is that like for you personally?
It's been such an amazing experience. Yeah, and it's crazy because I really have, I'm 33 years old. I really have been watching this since it started. So it's just a wild thing seeing every season, everybody changing and coaches changing, and just seeing it kind of develop has been really cool. And, I wanted to be on it for so long, and then I took like a hiatus from trying out from it. So now that I'm on it, it's crazy to see yourself on the other side watching it now.
That's one of the things that viewers don't get to see, that journey of you trying to get on the show. We all think that, you show up on a Sunday and all of a sudden, here you go. There you are on our TV set.
Right. Yeah, there's so many of us who, we've done it numerous times. I feel like this is probably like my 5th time, wow. Maybe 5th or 6th, maybe. And that's very common. There's like a lot of us who are at that number as well. So, you just got to keep, if you want to do it, you just have to keep, I always tell, I'm a voice teacher and I tell my students all the time that you're going to get more no's than yeses. So if you want it, you got to keep going.
You talk about being that voice teacher. That explains perfectly why you are speaking in tune, and that's a radio term because people can go da 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 da, but man, you are speaking in tune this morning.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I have a nice low range this morning, but it's Monday, Well,
see, that's what you gotta be. You gotta be like Bill and I, and that is that you run around the house going K95.5. We play the biggest rock.
Yeah, I love that.
Jocks don't talk like that on the radio anymore.
No. It's funny. I'm sure like right then when you get home, you have to like try to sometimes turn it off,
Yep, you absolutely do. So speaking of radio versus Spotify and even iHeartRadio, when you get 500 listens on Spotify, what does terrestrial radio even mean to you? Because what are the chances you're going to get 500,000 plays on terrestrial radio?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't even know. It's just, I swear sometimes some things just hit better than others and at certain times, and who's in listening to what and when and how. And, it's all about kind of that hitting that moment that's special. And then, kind of just domino affecting from there.
When it comes to having that one thing that becomes attractive, because I'll tell you what, the one thing that I've learned about podcasting since doing this in 2012 is the fact that I have a Roy Clark interview that I did way back then that's still getting hits today. And it's like what was it about that conversation that 11 years later it's still getting hits?
Yeah, it's crazy. I think certain times certain people hit, especially like, just interviewing an artist or being a part of now Reba's team and Gwen's team and, those types of things. It's like, who's releasing music at that time? Who's a part of this? And then is it hitting for people? Like my song, What If, when I was on Songland, I was on another NBC show. It's like that song just, I didn't make it to the next round after that, but that song just like hit and I did nothing besides being on that show. And I have over 500,000 streams on it. It just depends, like and I've been releasing music for so long, and there's just, sometimes it's that one moment that can set you, which is awesome.
There are so many promoters out there that rely on social media to be the reason why they bring you into their club. And it's like, wow, I understand, but I don't understand because there's more to the artist than that.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much more, and it's a hustle, and this whole industry is a hustle, and you just can't stop if you want it. The wave keeps going, and you have to just keep going and no matter what, this could happen and this could happen. The pandemic was a big stop for me. Because so many things were going up, 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 and I was surfing that wave nicely. Had songs on TV shows, and then got on Songland, and I felt like I was performing all the time, and then it was like the pandemic hit, and then it was just, oh, never mind. It's like you have to start kind of back at one.
How did you deal with the pandemic in the way that, because I mean, I've talked with the biggest and the best of the music industry. And I remember during that time period between March of 2020 and December of 2020, they were angry. It was like they didn't know what to do with their lives. But yet they had to figure out how to find a stage, because we all crave people. I think that's the downside of being an entertainer, is that I love people.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, it was a really big struggle for me too, because I'm, same thing. I love being around people. I'm a social butterfly. And, I think it's really hard, the things that, we all went through with that time period, but I do all the things that we do have. And I think, especially in the industry, is like we made things work, and we have the technology to do that. And, we were still trying to create music and still do sessions and things. And luckily we have this technology where we can, if this happened 50 years ago, it would have just been a full stop. So I think it's just nice that we can figure out how to kind of maneuver it and still make it work, like still now to this day, like if a student's parent can't drive them to, my house, we'll just hop on FaceTime. It's like, we're just fortunate to have the accessibility of doing this stuff and still creating. It took a hit for sure, kind of people trying to figure it out.
I think one of the funniest things about it is the fact that suddenly the bands that had everything done for them are doing it now. In other words, you could have the lead vocalist, the front man or woman of a band, and she's now head of merchandising of her band. And I love that, because that to me puts them in the center of the music business. Right.
Yeah. Like you have to create that certain roles and figure it out. Like you have to figure out, you can't just stop. And I think that's like, especially, going back to The Voice too, is just like how many times something knocks you down and you don't get it. And, you second guess and should I do this? Whatever. It's like the same thing with the pandemic too. It's like, oh my God, like, do I continue this crazy thing? When you stop and take a, step back. But yeah, when you love something so much, you just do it.
How do you deal with that evil word no? Because like when you said that you've done it at least 5 times, because I mean, so many people, they'll go, they get disappointed, they become disgruntled, and all of a sudden, I'm not going to ever sing ever again because I guess I'm not good enough.
I just telling myself, and I tell my students too, like, feel the feels, like feel them for a day or two, feel sorry for yourself, feel sad, feel confused, whatever you're feeling, feel it. And then you just got to brush it off and you got to just keep going. Sometimes those hardships of no's like make you stronger, and make you kind of want to like prove yourself and prove those people wrong. And yeah, sometimes it does go the other way, and you have to have thick skin, but I always say feel those feels, and then you just got to keep going if you love it so much. Like I love it so much, so it was the only thing that mattered to me. So yeah, I would feel awful, but I would just say, all right, well, what do I have to do to figure it out?
It reminds me so much of the students that I have, because I'm a broadcast instructor, and since 1988, all of these students that paid a buttload of money to be in that class only went so far and then quit. And it's like, okay, wow, how is it that you pay all that money, because they're paying you, and then they quit? How do we coach them to continue believing in their creative form?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you're doing everything you can. We all do everything we can to help people, want to do what we're doing as well. But that you can only do so much. It's the person has to, and sometimes maybe they just realize like that's something that they want to do, and time comes, and they're like, maybe this just isn't for me. But if you love something so much, though, you just have to keep telling them, listen, you do this because you love it. don't expect to always get everything that you wanted, but if you love it so much, no matter how you're doing it or what level you're doing it, to keep just doing it the best that you can, and you're doing it because it's something that makes you happy.
Taking that 2-year break, I'm a daily writer. I would be putting every single word and emotion inside that journal if I took a 2-year break from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I took a nice break. I took a little nice break. Yep. It was the whole pandemic and having a child and just trying to figure it out. And there's a hole, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you love something, like if you're, when you're not complete,
Songwriting for you is so important, and we've evolved into this age where it's like, okay, I'm going to give you a piece of my heart in this song, and because I know someone's always going to relate. I even do podcasts that are based on what I put inside my journals, and it's like, really, you're listening to that? Why? And how is it that people are tapping into that kind of writing?
Yeah, I mean, it's the writing process is a wild thing. And sometimes you do get that writer's block, and I feel like I kind of got it for a bit just because I felt like the world kind of stopped and there was no, like we were talking about, there was no being around people, like people. And everybody, I mean, in the beginning, we were all kind of writing that experience of like being alone and, not being with the people we love and, like who, and then you're like, oh my God, I have so much time. Like, and you're like, wait, who am I? Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the best part about writing, and is just being able to express things where it doesn't feel, sometimes it's crazier, or you feel more vulnerable when you're just talking to somebody about your feelings. And the cool thing about songwriting is you have that ability to kind of put it, and sometimes it's distracted by drums or guitar or melodies. People are sometimes listening to melodies rather than lyrics. But the people who really are focused on it, it's a way to just like reach out and kind of relate to all the people around you.
Yeah, or you've got the engineer in the other room going, can you rework that thought? I'm not feeling it. Yeah, but I did feel it. I felt it.
Yeah, and you're always trying to create a better, more creative way of saying the basics, you
talk about having writer's block. John Lennon hit himself inside the Dakota in New York City because he had writer's block. And yet I sat down with Johnny Resnick of the Goo Goo Dolls, and he said, you know what writer's block is? It's when you think what you're doing sucks. Just give yourself permission to suck, and you'll get out of writer's block.
100%. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're constantly just trying to not create crap or something that's already been done. It's like we're craving to create something that, I always feel like with songwriting, the block is true. Like that statement does really kind of resonate, is you're really trying to make those things, all the things that we're feeling, from love to, loss to finding yourself, this, that, but you're trying to say it in the coolest way. And sometimes that's really hard. And that's why you want to be as creative as possible, but sometimes it just doesn't come, and then you're like, this sucks. Yeah. But you want to create cool stuff.
So where is your writing place? Because I have to break free of this recording studio, and I take a walk through this forest in South Charlotte, North Carolina. If I don't have that recording device with me, I'm missing out on a lot of stuff. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, if I ever have like ideas, especially if I'm like out from where I am, I either just like I said, we're so lucky to have all this technology. Is like I whip out my phone and I have like song seeds on my notepad. I'll either write them down, or if I randomly start coming up with melodies, like I'll have a voice memo them just so I don't forget them, because they do slip out quickly.
And isn't it weird that this smartphone is going to be our legacy after we're gone? And it's like someone's going to pick up that smartphone and take a listen to it, and hopefully they'll understand what it is that we do as creative people.
Yeah, well, that's just all we hope. You know, hopefully they don't look at the stinky stuff.
Yeah, and the thing about it is the stinky stuff is probably the stuff they're going to go, damn, this was good. Man, why didn't she pick this one?
100%. That's always what you don't expect.
So if music wasn't your platform, what is your art form?
Oh, man, that's hard. I mean, I obviously do like my own artist stuff now, but I thoroughly, absolutely enjoy teaching voice. Like that's the one thing that's amazing about being kind of in the music world is there's my voice teacher from high school told my mom like to not worry about me because no matter what, I will always have a job.
Mm-hmm.
And it does feel that way. I have numerous jobs. I write and sing for cheer routine music in their competitions. And that's, half the year. And that's always needed. So I always have that job and people always want to audition for shows and musicals and this and that. So I'm always needed there. And, I just love, as long as I'm doing music, I don't care like how, in what form it is, as long as I'm doing it.
Yeah. So in your classes with your students, do you sit down with them and say, today we're going to work on how to be interviewed and to get them to understand what answers are to those that are asking the questions?
You know what? I've never really done the whole interview conversation with them.
Yeah, because people are coming to you after this because once you've been on NBC's The Voice, you're going to have a long list of students coming to you.
I know. And I guess now that I've been on it, I really should start preparing for for some interview questions. But I always tell my students to, stay as true to themselves as they can. Like you are only you. So that's the best advice that I'd tell them for that. But yeah, I mean, if I was telling them to interview, it's just to be, like I said, to be truthful, be respectful, and be kind, and, just show your heart.
Where can people go to find out more about you? Because they need to know who you are and where you're growing. And I'm sure somewhere along the line, you're going to have a ton of merchandise that they can start adding to their personal collections.
Yeah, so I would say I'm the most active on Instagram, and they can find me at CORii Music Official. I also have a Facebook. So my name is, everything's capital COR and then 2 lowercase i's. They can find me on Spotify. I have a bit of music on there, but I would say probably Instagram's the biggest one for me.
I love it. You got to come back to this show anytime in the future, CORii. The door is always going to be open for you.
Thank you so much, Era. It was so lovely to meet you, and happy Monday.
You be brilliant today, okay?
Yeah, thank you. You too. Bye.